Okay, so I'm afraid of a lot of things, right? And it's gonna sound like I'm a big scaredy cat, but the three things that we're gonna talk about is me being overwhelmed by adversity, it being the same as last time, so I'll tell a story about, what happened last time and how it affects this time, and not getting anything out of it, which sounds weird, but let me explain. Again, we're getting a little personal, but this is something that I want to remember. I want to look at after I'm finished and be like, oh, those are my fears? That's not even close to what it would have been, or, something to that effect. But first, we're going to talk about it being the same as last time. So if you're new here, what happened last time is, so in 2022 on March 21st, which is the same time we're going again this year in 2024, we set out on a thru hike. I actually had told everyone and decided I was going to go on that thru hike 6 months before we went. So I had told family, friends, loved ones, my girlfriend at the time that, hey, I'm going to be leaving for at least 4 months and I'm going to make the whole thing. And I had hiked before and I had backpacked one time. But I was like, yeah, it was great. And don't forget, the one time I backpacked, we didn't get rained on. And we stayed for what, like two nights? Something like that. So not very long. But in my mind, I was like, oh my goodness, adventure of a lifetime. What could go wrong? Needless to say, after the 4th day, I quit because I didn't have the proper rain gear. I got rained on for 24 hours, and I decided that life back in the working field and back away from all of this adversity was going to be better for me than it was out there. And I regret that, but I'm glad I did it because I learned a lot from it. Okay, so my first fear is it being the same as last time. Not same as in being unprepared, getting rained on for 24 hours, but I had such a good first 2.5 days. In the last day or so, ruined my whole trip. I got in that negative spiral basically, and I couldn't get out of it, and the only way out of it was to just leave entirely. That's what I'm afraid of, right? The same as last time is, what if I get into that spot where I can't see the positives and why I started, and what if I can't overcome that first wall of adversity? And that scares me, right? Because I don't want it to be the same as last time, because I'm setting out to do it again because I want to, because I know that there's something for me, because it's a potential adventure of a lifetime, because you get to be outside for all these months and be away from everything else. The list goes on and on for why I'm doing this again, right? But I'm still have that lingering feeling. It's like, oh, what if? All right, so the second thing is the overwhelming adversity, which is basically what I was alluding to before, but it really deserves its own separate point because this could be a lot different for a lot of people. The adversity out there is high. You're gonna have the highest highs, and this is what I've learned from watching other people's videos, hearing people who went on through hikes, or just regular hikes in the Appalachian Trails. I'm working on saying it correctly. The Appalachian Trails, is that you have some of the highest highs and the lowest lows. The guy I'm going with has talked about some videos he's watched and how some people have gotten rained on for 7 straight days. And the only thing that's keeping them going is to think it's gonna stop raining eventually, right? And I have to come to the fact with that's gonna happen to me. I'm not gonna like it, it's gonna be adverse, but it's gonna get better. And you have to know that roller coaster is gonna happen, but what if, and that's what this is, right? A fears video is like, well, what if this happens? Well, what if that happens? But what if I can't handle it? But surely it can, right? Just gotta embrace the suck. We're gonna talk about, hold on, this is getting real negative. Just so you know, this isn't just a list of fears. I'm gonna talk about how I'm going to actively combat these 3 fears in the last minute. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so the last thing is personal, and it means, like I said, something different for everybody. I'm worried I'm not gonna get anything out of it. Because there have been people who've set out to do something. This doesn't just apply to the AT. You want to be an example? For example, Mika the cat, she gets on my lap because she kind of expects maybe some pets, some love, and et cetera, et cetera. So she jumps up here and takes this leap in order to potentially get some satisfaction from it. Well, what if Mika's just sitting here and I don't pet her? And I don't give her that satisfaction? Why did she jump up here in the first place? I know that's cheesy, and it's just kind of what just happened. But what if I go through this whole journey and I don't feel that sense of accomplishment at the end? To add on to that, the other thing that I'm really hoping to get from this experience is to get away from everything, right? And I know I'm gonna get that, but what if I can't appreciate it to the fullest extent? What if I don't get that thing I was looking for, which is not an escape from life, but mainly like imagine it as like a detox from life, from like the noise, the distraction. For me, it'd be, to make it more personal, my computer, my normal life that I don't know which direction I'm supposed to be going in. I'm not necessarily going to get answers for these things, but I am going just to clear it all. Okay, but with all of these fears, because obviously whenever you have fears and you're about to do something that is your fear, you give it a lot of thought. So I've come up with 3 ways that we're gonna get through these 3 things. So we're not just going in blind, we're not just listening to fears and not gonna talk about how we're gonna overcome them. So the first one, same as the last time. 2 things that I've changed in order to make it not the same as last time. 1, I'm actually prepared this time. And stay tuned for in a week and a half, we have a gear video, full gear of what I used the first time whenever I failed the trip, and the gear that I have improved this time going forward on my second attempt. Last time I was going, thought it would be the adventure of the lifetime, and I didn't really think about the adverse parts, or the parts that I wasn't prepared for. So not only am I prepared this time for that, but I'm also prepared mentally for that. I have the knowledge of what exactly to expect because I've went through some of it. I've watched other people go through a lot of it now, and I've read up a lot on it as well through the different states and the weather and what to expect. So now I actually have the clear expectation of what it is, and I'm still excited about going. So last time it was just got all the gear, didn't watch any videos, listened to the AWOL on the AT, which is it's kind of boring, but it was really good at the time because I was super excited about the trip. And he just talks about how much fun he had, basically. So I was like, yeah. Man, that was cringe. Don't include that. 2, overcoming these adverse moments and being overwhelmed by it. Here's how we've already prepared for that one. 1, we just already talked about it, the knowledge, and I can't stress enough how important the knowledge is that you need to gain before you go on whatever hike it is, whether it's the AT, the Pacific Crest Trail, wherever it is. Canada, Mexico, there's a bunch of them, okay? But get the knowledge. But how I'm gonna overcome the adverse parts, we talked about this last time, but we've already done this one down here. We did a small test. Cue the clip of the small test. It was actually kind of funny.
Oh, this is the pre-trial night 1 setup. We have minimal condensation on the wall. We set these up like 5 hours ago just so we could have daylight to do it, and then we came out here in the woods of my mom's neighborhood. I don't know if you guys can hear me because of the rain, but we set up the tents in my mom's neighborhood, and we're doing like a pre-sleep thing, right? I even brought a towel just in case, but like there's like no water. We set up one of the tents kind of last, and there's a bit of water in it, probably because of the setup process went bad. But the tent that John set up, that I think he set up wrong, no water, dry. It's so dry that Matthew didn't do the bad setup, or he went from the tent that I set up that had a little bit of water in it to John's dry tent, and John's sleeping in the house because he thought he set it up wrong. It's perfect. How is it?
Bro, I'm living the life.
Is it big in there too?
It's way bigger.
Oh my gosh, dude, you're living.
I'm actually in luxury.
And I have some better support this time. Last time wasn't the same. I had a lot holding me back, but we're not going to talk about who that was and why that was. But let's just say this time, I don't have anything holding me back except for Mika. Yoink! Except for the little baby. Oh. And lastly is not getting the thing that I want to get out of this trip. Besides of the sense of accomplishment, which I know will happen for anyone who finishes, which I know is a small percentage, and I haven't committed to finishing yet, but in all of these videos I talk about finishing as if I've committed. But the main thing is I want to get out of this trip exactly what I feel like God wants me to get out of this trip. So I'm dedicated to praying every day. I'm going to bring something to read, and I'm going to make this kind of like this makeshift spiritual journey on top of the actual journey itself, because I want to get exactly what it is that God wants for me out there. And I don't know what that may be. It could be what I have and more, or it could be less. And either way I'm going to be satisfied with that. So those are my 3 fears for this upcoming hike / potential through hike that I have. And let me know what your fears are whenever it comes to this, whether you're a hiker, not a hiker, whether you're about to through hike or you already have in the past. Tell me what your fears were, and then maybe how you overcame them, or if that fear was even true at all, and if there's something else I should be afraid of. But altogether, I know it sounds like we're very fearful. I'm pretty confident though. I'm feeling good about this trip. We gotta talk about things because it's not interesting to talk about. I'm really confident about these 3 things on the trail. No one cares, okay? And don't forget to subscribe and like the subscribe button. And if you click it, it does a little sparkly thing. If anything, subscribe for the cat. Oh, baby. Look at her trying to bite. Oh.